Do you think I'm wrong? Do
yes.
you not think?
Nigel, can I not be more clear, mate? I think you're wrong.
The general public are standing for him.
Trying to blame immigrants! There's money. I've got money now. I've seen rich people. There's plenty of money out there. It's just not being distributed. Would be, mate. I'd stand for Parliament, but I'd be scared that I'd become one of them.
No, I'm sorry.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to be looking at one of the classic debates of our time that still is so relevant today. Now, at this time of year, there's not too much happening in terms of new debates for me to analyze. But whilst everyone else is on holiday and eating tiramisu, we are here 7 days a week, upholding our commitment to bring you guys content nearly every day, because sleeping is for the dead and holidays are for girls. So you can expect to see some classic debates over the next month or so that are still highly relevant today, and also debates that can show us exactly where we went wrong in many cases. And today we're going to be looking at a 2014 exchange between Nigel Farage and Russell Brand on BBC Question Time about immigration. And this one gets very feisty and is particularly interesting with hindsight. So with that, let's get into it.
If you fly into Gatwick, you'll see lots of green spaces. That is certainly true. However, if you have a country in which the population goes up as a direct result of immigration, what you find is not a shortage of green fields, if that's where you wanted to build houses. You find a shortage of primary school places. You find a shortage of GP surgeries. You know, we have fewer GPs per head than any other country in Europe today. You find congestion, whether it's on the roads or the London Underground or wherever you go. And what you find is that actually you're constantly playing catch up, and really the general quality of life for the massive population has gone down. So I think those comments today were wholly irresponsible. And what we've seen, I mean, it's quite interesting to think that, you know, in 1990, the population of this country was 55 million. It is now between 62 and 63 million. That is a massive, massive increase. And I think ordinary folk going about their lives are feeling it. And I think, having a proper immigration policy, controlling the numbers, doing what nearly 200 countries in the world do, namely controlling the numbers that come and the type of people that come, is the answer.
Right. Russell Brand.
If you're enjoying this video, guys, and if you appreciate what we do here, it would be massively helpful if you could chuck a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel. And welcome to the fam. Back to the clips.
I sometimes feel worried about you, Nigel Farage. But the reason I feel worried is because I know a lot of people are frightened in our country. I know a lot of people are feeling afraid and frustrated. And there is a sense that there is a corrupt group in our country using our resources, taking away our jobs, taking away our housing, not paying taxes, exploiting us. And there is an economic elite that this man's party is funded by, that this man is comes from background working in the city. Let me tell you something. There was an economic crash and a lot of money was lost. His mates in the city farted. Nigel Farage is pointing at immigrants and the disabled and holding his nose. Immigrants are not causing the economic problems and suffering we're experiencing. As much as any of us, I enjoy seeing Nigel Farage in a boozer with a pint and a fag, laughing off his latest scandals about breastfeeding or whatever. I enjoy it. But this man is not a cartoon character. He ain't Del Boy. He ain't Arthur Daly. He is a pound shop Enoch Powell, and we gotta watch him.
So for those of you who aren't aware, when he calls him a pound shop Enoch Powell was a guy who basically campaigned against immigration decades ago. And back then, the scale was nothing compared to what it was now. So he had a point, but Nigel Farage has a serious point. But I remember watching this 8 years ago and thinking to myself, wow, Russell Brand really owned that mean rich man. But now I look back on it with a completely different perspective. And Nigel Farage just this year was debanked because the powers that be hate him so much and they want to ruin his life.
2 months ago, I get a phone call out of the blue who simply says on a phone call, "We are closing your accounts." I asked why. No reason was given. I was told it would all be explained in a letter that would arrive in a couple of days' time. The letter just told me the accounts are closing and please, by the date they gave me, make sure you've moved to another bank. I did inquire further within the group. I sent an email to the chairman and I got someone ring me up and say it's purely a commercial decision.
So much for all of those banker friends in the city that he's carrying water for. And for those of you who watch the channel, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Russell Brand. This one hasn't aged very well though, but he does have some good points, which we'll get into later. On the contrary though, with Nigel Farage, this debate is like a lap of honor for him. He has bragging rights when it comes to this. And he was then, as you will see in this video, and he has become even more so of a populist voice of the people, because he was totally spot on about those issues back then and still is today, and the proof is in the pudding. One of the flavors of pudding being the riots in the streets of London, and the other being the fact that in 2016, a few years after this debate, the yes vote of the Brexit referendum was victorious. And part of the reason for this monumental populist victory was because the media was actively hiding stories from the British public and gaslighting those who chose to question it. And this is still happening, as we've been seeing lately, especially with the Irish riots, and is only getting worse. And I'm glad to tell you guys that there is a way to prove it, and there is a way to stay ahead of the curve. And that is with ground news. Literally this morning, as I went to check the news, as I do every morning, and see what I might be missing, I went to the blind spot feature in ground news, which is my favorite feature. Then I can scroll down to see all of the stories and how they're being reported by left, center, and right. And I saw a story about illegal migrants landing on beach near homes of Hollywood stars being reported 0% by the left and center and 100% by the right. And as I continue to scroll down, there's another story that is not inconsequential about US setting new record with 15% of population made up of immigrants. So when you click into the story, you can see that it's being reported 0 by the left, 1 source from the center, and then most of the sources, 88% of them, are from the right. And as I go over to the right here, you can see the bias distribution chart, which is a visual representation of all of the sources reporting the story and where they sit in the political spectrum. They've even got a super convenient app so you guys can check them out with the link in the top of the bio, ground.news/rattlesnake. That's ground.news/rattlesnake to help them with their mission to keep the news more transparent and to help out the channel. Back to the video.
Well, Russell, that's all well and good, and you've got your point of view. The question was, is Britain overcrowded? And do you think I'm wrong? I mean, do you not think?
Nigel, can I not be more clear, mate? I think you're wrong. I come from the kind of community.
This is called question time, this programme, right? And
well, tonight you could have another
And what happens is, members of the audience ask questions and we're expected to answer them. You haven't answered this lady's question. Do you think Britain's overcrowded and there is a strain on public resources and people's quality of life?
We need more money for public resources.
Well, where's it going to come from?
Not overcrowded. It's going to come. I'm so glad you asked, mate. Since the financial crash, banker bonuses have exceeded £80 billion. George Osborne, your Chancellor, campaigned to stop caps being placed on banker bonuses. At the same time, there were austerity cuts against the poorest among us, the disabled, people that we need to be looking after. We need to close tax loopholes which are exploited by big corporations. There's money. I've got money now. I've seen rich people. There's plenty of money out there. It's just not being distributed.
Yes. And I don't like people preaching that I am any part responsible for anything. I've never heard him criticise the disabled.
I never have.
Okay? Never. No. Okay? And you are a campaigner. Yeah? I'm going to go back to the last question. Please let me finish.
Mate.
Stand. Stand for Parliament. If you're going to campaign, then stand. Okay? Okay, you have the media profile for it. Do it.
My problem would be, mate, I'd stand for Parliament, but I'd be scared that I'd become one of them. I know what side of the argument.
No, I'm sorry.
The political evolution of Russell Brand is a fascinating one, and I think that a lot of people, myself included, can really relate to. As a younger man, I mean, not that young, but he was younger, he saw the unequal distribution of wealth in society and the corruption of the elites, and decided to go towards the socialist left because he thought to himself, these people have all of the money. These people have nothing. What's the solution? It's simple. We'll just redistribute it all, like Robin Hood. But not my money though. Only the bankers, not the millionaires, the billionaires. And you see, obviously he's not totally without a point, because crony capitalism does exist. And there's much to be scrutinized when it comes to the behavior of big banks and financial firms and politicians, that's for sure. And seeing, as happened in 2008, when the bankers are being bailed out by the government, by taxpayer dollars, at the same time that government programs are being cut, you can understand why people would be indignant about that. But to ignore the issue of untethered illegal immigration and to act like Nigel Farage is using it as some sort of a scapegoat for his buddies in the city is insane. But now the interesting thing about Russell is that he has been properly red-pilled over the last few years. And I think that the cough cough jabby McJab was probably what led him to these realizations.
Natural immunity was effective, and for reasons that, well, what could it be? What could be the reason that a monetizable solution to COVID was prioritized over a non-monetizable? Is there anyone involved in the situation that has a profit motive? Let's look at the data.
The Conservatives trying to stem the flow of illegal immigration and trying to restore some sort of national identity are not the enemies here. The enemies are the multinational asset management giants that actually profit and gain more power from all of this mayhem. And this is how Russell Brand has managed to gain such an enormous following over the last few years, and why he is being targeted by the people he's been targeted by. So he's gone from actually identifying the right problems, but the wrong enemies and the wrong solutions, which is why nobody really cared too much what he said. Nobody took him that seriously, to now shifting his focus to the point where he is hovering over the target and he is getting fired on because of it. Fired on by the same people, in fact, that are firing on Nigel Farage. So, make of that what you will. Let's watch the rest of the debate.
You full addiction and you've beaten it, okay? You can't preach that. That is rubbish.
Mate,
you cannot preach that.
I'm not preaching.
Well, you are. You've attacked him, okay?
Yeah.
Okay? And you've attacked him, and you've attacked everybody that stands for his party.
I do.
We're trying.
I'm sorry.
I'm not attacking people
they are people on the street. Are they? Rubbish. I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, it's the general public that are standing for him.
Trying to blame immigrants for the cutbacks because of his rich.
Russell, you've got some voters here, mate. You ought to stand. I mean, these are your voters. They're lovely people, aren't they? They're lovely people.
I just hear for a voice up here. You saw on the gangway.
Behave yourself over there. The point I want to make to Russell is that you say you claim to sort of stand up for the working classes, but you've got to understand that it's the working classes that have been hit the hardest by immigration, mass immigration. You know, wage compression, the change in communities over a short period of time has led to, tension within communities. You've got to appreciate that actually, it's all right to say, criticising UKIP and Nigel Farage, but actually it's the people at the bottom of society that have been hit the hardest by immigration.
I'm telling you, mate, honestly, I come from the same community as you come from. I've been very lucky and I've had a few breaks and I've got a few quid now. And I'm telling you that immigration has always been happening. What happened in 2008 was very unique. If I thought, my friend, I swear to you, if I thought, listen, try this for 2 years, turn your focus to corruption in the city, turn your focus to apathetic politicians, turn yourself to the corruptions going on there, and if in 2 years' time your life ain't got better, campaigning against the people that have wealth and power, not those that have very little, if it's still the same, I'll come with you and campaign. But I'm telling you, I know where the power is, I know where the money is, I know what we've got to do.
So So always interesting to go back and watch these debates and see how people have changed, see how the conversation has shifted, and see how media landscapes and ecosystems and their evolution has been such a contributing factor to this. So with that, guys, don't forget to check out the link below for ground.news/rattlesnake. And you can also hit my links, find me on all socials, subscribe to the channel here if you haven't already. If you'd like to watch another video, click right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is Rattlesnake TV, keeping you armed and dangerous.